wine and real estate, and we are going to start off with a shocking element. So Erica knows somebody who got bit by a scorpion in Belize.
Oh
Tell
my
us about
goodness.
it.
Yes, that was on the mainland, I believe yesterday. Somebody I know posted a little picture after he killed it, and it was just about like this big, and finally happens because I guess he's seen a couple around. I haven't seen one yet, but it does happen sometimes. So better that it wasn't me.
Wow. And just before we came on air, you were telling us about all kinds of creepy crawlies. So we're gonna skip over that and get to the interesting part about the real estate investing because I can see Jennifer kind of shivering and yeah, she's not sold on Belize, so you have to do a better job.
Yeah, so maybe we should
Okay.
introduce Erica
Yes.
first. Erica Lacasse from Cold Canada, who's investing in Belize. Maybe just introduce yourself for people who don't know who you are, Erica.
So I'm Invested Erica, and you can find me on social media as such. I'm very happy that I haven't had to add any numbers to any of my accounts yet on social media. Um, so I've been investing in real estate officially, I guess, since I bought my first house in 2018. Unofficially, when I was renovating and DIYing with my family since I was a little tot. And I really understood the value of doing your own work, understanding how things work, and if something broke, to just tinker with it and give it your best shot. So I think I always felt very capable, and knowing the value of real estate or just opportunities, I think I really didn't limit myself and said, oh, wait, how much can I get for rent in the place I'm living in right now? And I wanted to make sure I had a mortgage helper with my first house. So that was my mission for my first property, is build my first suite. And I've basically loved creating spaces since then, and really realized that's my true purpose, is not necessarily fixing things, but creating really awesome spaces, whether it's being a landlord or having short-term rentals now, because I had to pivot for the interest rate hikes we've all had to deal with. And
Yeah.
now I'm going to be doing a development. So, yeah.
That's very exciting. So, what made you think about investing in Belize, other than the snow?
Yes, I am very motivated by my dislike for winter. I have cold intolerance. Medically speaking, I'm sure there's a couple other Canadians that are saying, I think that's the term I want to use too. Um, Basically, I reached out to Francois, gosh, a year and a half, maybe I think even longer. And we had connected because of his goals to invest in real estate internationally. And it wasn't just the cold for me. I realized, okay, well, I can go do this project in Calgary, for example, and I have all the skills to do it and the knowledge to do it. So why don't I do that somewhere else? Because right now, if I do a project in Calgary, what does that contribute to my lifestyle? Whereas if I were to be here and doing the same things that I were doing in Canada, I perhaps would be enjoying myself a little bit more, and I would have more of a lifestyle perk. So that's where it started. It wasn't necessarily for commercial, it was more for having Airbnb rentals to be able to visit when I want to. And, you know, a business expense for restocking your place sounds like
Yeah.
a great idea. Shopping trips for real estate. I'm sure you guys both really are on the same page with me on that.
Totally.
So yeah. Um, I didn't actually know about Belize until Francois invited me on a discovery call with a realtor. And
Oh,
I
cool. I
think,
really influenced you. I didn't, because I know you were talking about Panama, and I'm like, Panama, okay, but for some reason, you seem more like you really want to push the boundaries and the edges. And Panama is a bit more cookie cutter, while Belize, I just saw something. You can really be yourself. Like you can do anything pretty much. So, wow, that's really cool. Okay, I didn't think I had that much influence.
thank you. Yeah, no, you get the credit for that because I didn't even know that place existed.
Wow.
I
Oh,
can tell
cool.
you exactly the search I did, and I would probably recommend anybody else who's interested in researching or going international with their investments to start with a search. And I would likely say the way I went about it was checking for leverage. Where is the easiest countries to obtain mortgage or financing options as a non-resident? Because
Yeah.
if somebody is a resident or a citizen or married somebody who has connections, it's not the same boat that we would be in to get financing. So leverage is the first one. Loan to value of that leverage. So if it's only a 30% mortgage on the value, not
much
great.
good.
So once I found a couple of charts actually online that had whether they're accurate, obviously it's subjective information that's online, but it still gave me a good starting point to find out lists of countries, the loan to value, so I could find, okay, well, which ones do I know are relatively easy for obtaining a mortgage and financing. And then I looked at the loan to value percentage, continued narrowing down my list. Then I looked at climate or lifestyle,
Yeah,
which
no
I think
snow.
most people, would say for you guys, you love Costa Rica, right? You
Yeah,
feel at home when you're there. So
I really do.
that's the lifestyle thing too, right? I fell in love with Belize and it's stolen my heart, just like you guys have experienced. So the lifestyle of it, are you a city person? Are you an island person? Do you need amenities? Do you need McDonald's? Lifestyle can also be language, politics, safety, cost of living. So all of that would go into like my climate lifestyle search. And then if I'm just looking at Google Maps basically and looking at those countries, it's pretty easy for me to pick at this point. There wasn't a lot when I spoke to you, Francois. I believe it was Spain, Portugal, and Panama, I think were
Yeah,
pretty high on my list and still are.
yeah, they're
And then
beautiful
the
places.
next one, the next one is affordability, right? What
Then
do
that
you want to?
reduces the list quite a bit.
So I think that's probably a good start for anybody. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you're kind of planning on doing in Belize, or is it a secret?
No, it's not. I've seen it all over social media.
Okay.
Well, it is a little bit of a
Erica's
secret because
Beach
it's
and
on Secret Beach.
okay.
Yes. Well, look at that beautiful beach behind you. That's
Wow,
amazing.
can we join you? I'm really tired. We still have snow here that's melting.
Yes, we still
I'm
have a few feet left.
sorry.
Yeah, I don't think you are.
Hey, I was there a couple of weeks ago briefly, and I'll be back in about a month or so. So it won't be too long
Hopefully
for
there won't be
me.
any snow.
I think it'll be safer for me to come back. I think that's going to
Yeah.
be start of May. It'll be
Oh
safe.
yeah, we're hitting 22 in a few days, so yeah, the snow will be gone finally. And there's some green sprouts, but still too much snow in April, for my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah. So sorry, where were we at? For my project,
Yeah.
yes, cool. This is going to be very exciting for me. I haven't disclosed a lot of information because I've been a little secretive of it.
Mhm.
And part of that was one, I'm in a different country trying to figure out what I'm doing and what the opportunities are and solidifying them before I put them out there. And now I can officially say that I do own over an acre of land that's beachfront
Woo,
in a
Wow.
congrats.
beautiful, thank you, in a beautiful space here in Belize. And the plan is to build a really awesome resort. And I'm just working with the architecture firm right now. And shortly, I'm gonna hopefully in the next month have some renderings or some teaser conceptual designs to share.
Wow.
I'm super excited to start planning all that. But to sum it up, it's basically going to be resort style accommodations. It's going to be tailored for extended stay. So all our business people that want to perhaps work on their businesses while still being away from home. And there's going to be obviously an amazing co-work space, which Francois, I'm a huge fan of.
Awesome.
We're
Yeah.
intrigued in that as well. You kind of planted a seed, so maybe I sent you to Belize, but we're thinking about maybe co-working in Costa Rica. We'll see.
As you should. Belize does not have a digital nomad visa yet,
Oh
even though
no.
they have published this in, I think it was the Belize Tourism Board website, but that is false information or misleading information. They do want to, but change is very slow here in Belize. So it
Yeah.
is not here yet. For anybody who does want to know that. That being said, the perk of Belize, for example, myself, I can stay here for as long as I want. I essentially renew my visa every month for $100 US. And if you wanted to get residency here, you have to stay here legally in the country for a whole year. You can only leave for 14 days out of that year. But if you renew your visa every month, you apply for permanent residency at the end of that year.
Wow,
And
that's short.
that's a process in itself, but that is a perk that there's no like, oh, I have to go to Guatemala or Mexico
Yeah.
to come back to Belize because I
No
want to stay here
borderline.
longer. And everybody's experience with immigration can be a little different here, but generally speaking, it's very easy to stay here longer, which is nice. I'm also planning on having something for everybody's budget. So if you want like high-end, nice, everything is going to be really nice anyways, but I'm going to have something for everybody's budget. I actually posted about this yesterday. I want to make sure that there's accessibility factored into play here
Yeah, that's
because
really cool.
there's kind of a huge part of society that gets forgotten even in the
Totally.
rental market. And it was hard for me to think here, you know, you have to take a small plane with stairs to get here, or like a small ferry boat to get here. Not saying that you can't get here if you have accessibility issues, but it's perhaps not the kind of accommodations where you would need, you know, a lift for a bed and things like that, because there's not really a need or demand. But it is the right thing to do to incorporate accessibility, whether it's for seniors or anybody with like limited abilities, because that affects so many people that it's not just wheelchairs, and the whole place here is basically built a lot off the ground. So it was an interesting thing to kind of think about and plan around, but I'm going to make sure to incorporate that. I'm going to make sure it stays as a relaxing place with views for everyone. There's going to be a lot of common space to socialize, common space to work outside of the co-work. If you don't necessarily need to be quiet, you want to do some work, but still be able to hang around some people or by the pool. There's going to be a rooftop terrace so everybody can have a nice view of those beautiful turquoise water, and a couple of tasteful attractions that I will
Whoa.
not I will not disclose those until.
Oh,
That's okay. We'll have to visit to find out.
yes, it sounds very exciting, Erica.
Yeah,
Wow.
thanks.
Can't
I'm
wait to see the
thrilled.
teaser plans. And I love that you're incorporating something very different, the accessibility. I did find that that's quite overlooked everywhere. Like in Costa Rica, there's no
Oh
way
my
that
goodness,
the
yes.
sidewalks are so uneven. Even if you're just visually impaired, good luck getting around. That would be very scary.
Or after too many seversa.
Yeah. Or
Yes.
bubbles like Prosecco or anything. It's
I
important.
found Panama to be like that too. Like the conference I went to, they spoke about um you know how in the States or Canada they have like be careful your coffee's hot warning labels?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on you to protect yourself and to open your eyes and look to see the manholes and to not trip and fall. So Panama had that kind of vibe as well. But that doesn't mean that I can't do my part in
No.
trying to make sure that my accommodations are accessible. And I just thought to myself, if I ended up, God forbid, in a wheelchair or with some disability, you know that's not stopping me from going to the beach,
Nope.
right?
Oh my goodness, no. I'd see you
So
swimming with one arm and
exactly. Yeah. And there's
you'll
gonna
find
be
a way.
something like that I'm gonna be 100% incorporating in mind that will let people get in the water or on the water that have some mobility issues. So
Oh,
Wow.
that's so exciting. That's such a
yeah.
great idea.
It really is. And it's important. That's something, there's a nice part about it, like helping people. But business wise, I think there's also a business case. I know you're not doing it for the money, but business wise, I think it makes a lot of sense because you're competing with other places, but now you've got that extra edge that others don't have. It's accessible. It's maybe universally accessible. It's not a retirement home or
Yes.
anything like that, but there's all these features. Maybe there's ramps. Doors are wider. There's all kinds of things that you're adding to make things easier for people. And you don't know who's traveling. Maybe it's a couple, one of the spouses has some impairment, or a child has some impairment, or the parents. So this is going to open doors to a lot of things. And when we go to hotels in Canada, I often end up with the room with the accessibility room. I love it. Everything's big, lots of space. It feels luxurious, but I feel bad. I'm like, I don't have those issues, but the hotel just keeps giving it to me. So
They need to use up the space, yeah.
that's
And
it.
I'm trying to do a bit of research. So I guess since I decided to build something down in Belize, I made it in my little intro video announcement of what I wanted to do, and accessibility was in there. So I put myself on some social media pages so I can be aware of people who have any kind of disabilities or limitations that want to travel, and they will promote locations that, you
Yes.
know, are doing the
Absolutely.
right things, but also I'm not an expert in this because I'm not struggling
No.
with any of these challenges. So I need to hear from people, what do you need? And I'm not going to be able to address everything. Like I said, I can't have a lift, and I probably won't be having an elevator here. It's just not conducive to the environment or what I'm trying to build. But I can still address a lot of accessibility issues. And I don't want, it doesn't necessarily need to cost a lot. So that's
No,
what's nice about building new, is you can keep the space accessible with very minimal cost.
absolutely.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like, why not do it? Like, I think more people should really be thinking about incorporating that, especially if you're doing new development.
I love it. I was not expecting this turn at all, but sometimes we studied interior design. Jennifer's always dealing with accessibility and different things. And it's just like having wider doorways, your switches at the right height. If you're dealing with people with autism or different things, sometimes sensory deprivation, like you want to have a quiet space, as you were mentioning. There's all kinds of things, Braille maybe on your signage, and there's a lot more. So and that's great. And like
Yes.
you said, it doesn't have to cost a lot when you're building new. If you're doing a retrofit, yeah, that could be
Mm-hmm.
a lot more, especially in like Europe or something. Forget it. But in Belize, why not? So, wow. So tell us more
Yeah.
about this acre. How, if you don't mind, like how did you finance it? That sounds crazy. You just went from Calgary to beautiful Belize, and I know you've had quite a few challenges
Yeah, how did
too.
you find some beachfront
Yeah.
property?
How do you get that? Yeah, and you're allowed to buy it too. That's really cool.
Yeah, it just fell in my lap. No,
Yeah.
I think some people might think that that's how it happened, but I really attribute it to a lot of factors. And one is being here over the winter and investing myself in the community, networking with all kinds of business people or locals, or just basically anybody who makes things happen here. And you meet them anywhere, whether it's on the beach or at the bar. You literally have so many professionals that you meet that give you amazing opportunities. And I'm just following I'm just following my day. I'm just going to the beach, and I was like, oh, this place is a little loud. I wanted to hang out in hammocks with my friends. So I decided I'm going to see if next door has a quieter spot with hammocks. So I left them. Yeah, I left them for like 5 hours. They
Oh,
they they
wow.
knew I they knew I disappeared. They're good friends. They knew I disappeared and that I likely met somebody and got into talks, because that's literally how it happens here. And I was like, hey, I heard that there might be a lot for sale down here. Did you see anything? And she's like, oh, you should talk to my husband. And so we sat down and talked for hours. And he's the project manager on one of the builds here I was looking to connect with, because that's how things happen here. And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's one a little bit further down. And after our talk, he recommended I check Sunset Palace because it's the quietest place to kind of go watch the sunset. So I went back to my friends. We went to Sunset Palace and we watched the sunset. We took some photos,
Mhm.
had a good time, had some chicken wings. And then right before leaving, I decided to just pop over to the side and peeked over and saw this nice little for sale sign. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to be able to afford this. But Erica doesn't take no for an answer, right? And you could keep saying no. I'm going to keep knocking on doors. So, long story short, the seller was adamant about having seller financing, and which is usually a good thing to hear, but they were only wanting a max of 2 years. And I figured,
Oh,
okay, nobody wants seller financing. If you can afford to pay it off in 2 years, you want title now, and you want to just get it over with.
Yeah.
So I negotiated with a lovely realtor who's very patient because, we do things a little differently and I don't take no for an answer. So thank you to Liliana for that. And I got 5 years of seller financing. So this is my first
Much
seller
better.
financing deal, which is pretty
Congrats.
awesome to say that was my beach 1-2. So just go for it, guys, because you never know. Don't expect no, and just keep trying. Not everything will work out, but this one was really a slam dunk. And by the time I was actually ready to put an offer, I had just left Belize, so for Panama. And so I was writing offers when I was discovering Panama a little bit on my business trip down there. And I already knew so much about the place because I had put myself here that it was such a slam dunk and a brainless decision. Some people say, how do you know that like that lot that you got is valuable or like worth whatever? And I mean, you could have so many answers for that question,
Yeah.
but the only thing I can think about is, okay, well, it's like I stubbed my toe on a bar of gold and you're asking me how I know it's valuable, right? Like, so I could go explain it, but that's basically what I feel. I feel like I got an amazing deal. I got the ability to buy something with seller financing here because that's why it wasn't on the list, right? It didn't show up as a country that has the ability for non-residents to get loans. That doesn't necessarily mean a business can't, though. So stay tuned. I'll be figuring that out because that's the plan, is to, once I build it, to get either construction loans if they will. I'll see, but likely at the end I'm gonna get some long-term financing on it.
And let's chat some more offline later on, but I did find a lender in Costa Rica that is opening up shop in Belize, of all places, who finances hotels. He finances hotels. What else did he say? Little casitas and small developments like you're doing. So, and he said, oh, it's a minimum 200,000. I'm like, I'm sure Erica can spend 200K and more. Big time.
I don't think I want to know how much money that this is gonna be as a total project, because I'm doing it in phases, but I'm still gonna have the whole master plan, and then see what works for the market right now, because there's so much potential and growth opportunity there. But obviously we need to work backwards from that. And I've also been very inspired by another woman who is here on the island, who is a Canadian, and she's building a resort here. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time to meet her. And she inspired me a lot to, she's a self-taught real estate investor. And the people you meet are pretty incredible when you stop doing the go to work, go home, go to work, go home.
Yeah.
They come at you, all the opportunities.
They do. The luxury of time, that's something I've really taught some of my students, is really take a break and like listen. And it's shocking, like you did. You went to relax, and then you saw well, you spoke to someone, and then they led you to that beach. If you were busy, you can't see any of that, and you're missing out on all kinds of things. So I hope that's something you're gonna teach or instill to your guests as well that come to your resort, because I think it's something people forgot. Like they just forget. All kinds of opportunities are out there. You just have to ask. And
we forget all the time.
I forget all the time. Yeah. So really cool.
100%.
So business-wise, you're starting smaller, which is very smart. I guess you'll start kind of with a main building and then kind of add on things and as you can afford. Because Belize, infrastructure-wise, will you be on a well? I think it's a different setup. It's not like it's municipal water and all of that, or?
They do have municipal water here, so depending on where you are. I am in a location that's completely off grid for now. There are some big resorts that are going to be coming and breaking ground shortly and may bring power and utilities. That being said, the cost of utilities is quite high here. So, and I already really want to build sustainably anyway. So this is a great opportunity to work with builders who have already built and operators who are operating those systems fully off grid and in a commercial setting. So that's a big opportunity for me to check another checkbox of what I want to provide here and build here. So I'm going to learn a lot about sustainability, but there's a lot of cisterns being used, mainly rain catchment systems, propane, fuel, right? Propane dryers, propane heat for your water, and solar, obviously. But there you can have wells. So it depends. You kind of have to have your area assessed for a well and get the water tested for the salinity to
Okay.
see if there's salt and if you need to get the desalination system. All these things have to be all assessed and planned out based on costs and functionality with the occupancy. But basically, the way we start with the architects is um, we'll have a conceptual design, but to get to that, it's more just shapes and
Yeah.
a general idea of shapes and what I want to put there, so that we can figure that out. But yeah, that's still to come. So yeah, definitely lots of options for off grid. And there's even wind. There's some Canadians I know
Yeah.
that live out there. They built a house and they have a wind turbine with their solar. So I'm going to be connecting with them to see how that's been going.
Oh, that's so cool. Tell us a little bit about amenities there, Erica. Like, is shopping kind of like in Canada? Can you get everything that you're kind of looking
You
for?
mentioned
Or,
McDonald's earlier.
yeah,
I
like
hope there's no
McDonald's
McDonald's.
and Belize.
That's what's great about it. You know, when I went to Panama, I fell in love with Belize more because Panama to me had a big gap of like just a money gap, right? And I found it to be just so different. It's like you're trying to make a North America there in a place that culturally maybe wasn't. And I haven't gone too many places in Panama, but that's what's great about here is a lot of the expat community or people like me, we fall in love with this place and it becomes our community. And we don't want those
Uh,
chains coming here. We
yeah.
like going down, trying different restaurants, different owners, different approaches, different cultures. There's people from Argentina that have an Argentinian steak place down south.
Whoa.
There's a beautiful restaurant just south of where I'm living, called Garage, that makes the best steaks ever. And he's a local here that's traveled all over the place. He thought he was shooting himself in the foot starting up a steak place, but he's going to end up being the place to go to get steak here. There is Mahogany Bay. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember our chat. So there's that high-end gated community that's trying to be maybe more like North America with all the amenities kind of there, so you don't have to go far. I don't vibe with that because I like the cultural like community side here and actually being here and
But
changing
it's
that
there
part of that
for those that may be homesick or something. If you spend multiple months and you're really attached to your local stuff, you
That's
can
the
go.
key though. If you're like me, I'm bouncing around all the time, right? If I'm here long term, my standards would likely vary, but because I'm here for months at a time and then I go back to Canada or wherever, I can find those amenities. So I'm kind of just doing a trade-off here and there, but
Yeah.
I gain a lot by trading that. So it's not that I don't enjoy some things from all different places, but it's a reality of if you want to go invest in another country, you should be boots on the ground. And I don't mean a week. I think, it's a business expense. Do it. Like
Yeah.
go figure out how to make your lifestyle work with the safety of being in the community because the hardest thing about international investing for me that I've dealt with is trusting your
Yeah.
connections. How do you know that what they're saying is true? Certain countries have technology wise, we're not a techie country here in Belize. So their websites are very basic done. There's typos on the immigration
I
website all over
know.
the place. Yeah, and the information changes all the time depending on who you talk to. So even official streams are relatively limited. So you have to tailor your expectations, but you need to be here to truly know and connect with the right people and give yourself that time. And I'm sure and positive you know this, Francois and Jennifer, the whole everyone's an expert when you ask somebody
Oh
the same
yeah.
question to 10 people,
Yeah, you
everybody
get
has a
10
No,
different
different
answers.
it goes every which way. So yeah, you need that discernment. Very take everything with the whole salt shaker, not just a grain of salt, but
Yeah, so be here, figure out, okay, well, is Mahogany Bay my standards, or do I
yeah,
need to be on the mainland close to Mexico, which has McDonald's and Walmart, right? There is
yeah,
a town of expats there. So Belize might be a good country for you because it's English and such, but maybe there isn't enough shopping here. You do have to forage for what you would want more because there is no Walmart, right? We know where to go for hair dye. I have to text my buddy who works at a store to be like, hey, where do I go for hair dye? And then they're like, oh, go to this place, right? And I passed by it 100 times, but there's so many little shops. So it's not that you can't get things here, but from a tourist perspective, you likely would think it's limited because you're not necessarily going to find these little tiny shops in between the gift shops that perhaps the tourists are going to, or the cocoa making places. But there's so much to do here. A lot of people, I would say, are attracted to the fact that it's English speaking, and it's actually the only English speaking country in Central America because Spain didn't take it over. I'm pretty sure because of the Barrier Reef, they couldn't figure out how to
get around it.
Get around it. Yeah. So it ended up staying this little English place. They definitely have their cultures and some Creole and some other languages and a lot of Mayan history. People don't realize. I think there's like, I'm going to say the wrong number, but let's say 900 Mayan ruins and temples here to go visit. They have some of the largest, most incredible ones here in Belize. They have the second largest barrier reef. So any divers already know about Belize. So I'm not a water person, so I didn't know. But anybody talked to them, like, are you a diver? And usually if they knew about it, they were, because the other one is in Australia somewhere, right? The Great Barrier Reef. So there's boats, there's snorkeling, free diving. The really cool thing about Belize is their ecology. They're a super small country that's trying to develop, and their population is around 400,000 people.
Okay, that's really small.
So when you put that into perspective, you can see that that's the reason things might work a little slow, or they're growing, you know, and to have patience with everything. But there's also a lot of opportunity and a lot of space, but they protect a lot of their space. There's a lot of conservation efforts in areas. They have amazing places for habitats. They have a little sanctuary for the iguanas here in town to go see for free. It's by donation, with really cool colors. They get so big and they're like orange and yellow and really cool. So lots of cool things. And the thing that's nice is I like the eco side of it because they don't actually let you spearfish while diving. You can have like a spear fishing gun and go fishing, but they want them to have a fair chance. So you can free dive and do it, but not while you have like tanks, because they want to protect. And they obviously have their like lobster season when it's allowed to be fished and things like that. So I like the eco side of it. The biodiversity is insane.
Wow. You're going to make everybody fall in love with Belize.
Yes, sounds like
we got your rainforest from Costa Rica,
yeah,
where you would think it's not like this, and we also have this. So, I mean, and the one near Mexico is Corozal, is 20 minutes from Chetumal, Mexico, over the border. So you can take a boat from Mexico or either Corozal or Chetumal. You can take a boat straight to this island direct.
Okay, wow.
So if you wanted to explore Mexico because you want to see Tulum or other investing opportunities there, you don't think that you need to fly to Belize City to get here. You can actually take a boat, the international ferry from Mexico, or the Belize ferry from just 20 minutes south. And so some people do like being in Corozal because they want to be able to go into Mexico and get just that ease of shopping and getting things that you want.
Yeah, that's good to have conveniences as well. I mean, if that's what we like, kind of like you, is more becoming locals and eating the food like the locals do, and kind of like you said, learning about the little shops. Where do you find this thing? And we did find on our last trip to Costa Rica, okay, now we're starting to find things that makes more sense. The first few trips, I was like, okay, there's like nothing here. I don't know how people survive. Like lamps are very hard to come across. And then we're like, okay, we found this shop in the basement of a shopping center that looks abandoned, but then they have all this stuff, and you speak to someone and it's just a community. It's so amazing. So that's why I encourage people to explore beyond Canada and make it a lifestyle. Canada's great too. There's some great opportunities. But if you don't like winter, like all of us now here, why not explore and make it a business? And as you said, expense it and just keep growing. So thank you so much, Erica, for sharing about a little bit about your story. We'll have to get an update, maybe live on location. When you have something built, you'll have to tell us.
Yes.
We'll have to come down with our camera crew and film it and
Or
make a big thing.
when you break ground.
Yeah, when you break ground, we'll bring some bubbly and have fun, and why not?
I actually am getting my drone permit hopefully next week. So
Okay,
I have my little drone here. So I'm just waiting for some drone lessons from a friend here, and then I'll be able to post a couple more shots, and then obviously I'll be doing that for some updates too. But yeah, it'd be nice to host you and show you all those little corners, and then we can trade and I can come visit you and you can show me all the good spots in Costa Rica.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the black sand beach. Yours looks nice and white. Ours is black. So very, very different things. And right now you have some leaves in Costa Rica right now. It's, well, where we're buying, it looks kind of like Arizona. It's very arid. And then in November it becomes like Belize. It's lush and green. So it's interesting to see all the different countries and learn about different things. So it's been amazing. Thanks so much, Erica. Let's drink to that.
Yes. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks
Cheers.
for having me.
Salud.
Cheers. Salud.
And if people want to get a hold of you and find out more, so what's the best way to find Invested Erica?
I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, all as Invested Erica. And I think I started a TikTok as well as a YouTube. I don't have anything on there. I'm just waiting until I get some help with content, more putting it together and making it look pretty so that I can push out a little bit more. I want to give people more value about my journey and tips if people are interested in doing these kinds of things, whether it's developing or just investing for Airbnbs, and partnering with some people here and interviewing some people here about why they're here and what their story is. So stay tuned for that, but please reach out on social media, send me a message. I get a lot of friend requests on Facebook. So if you actually want to add me as a friend, maybe send me a message so I know you're not like from Istanbul and or some other spam, because I'm at like probably 1,000 friend requests. But yeah, any of those, and I have my website coming up soon, investederica.ca, or you can email me at erica@investederica.ca.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Till the next time.
Yeah, thanks,
Cheers.
guys. See you later.
Bye.